I've always enjoyed our conversations, partially because you, I mean, for many reasons, but one of the things I like most is you always had a passion for knowledge as well as for culture. I remember when I was in high school, you wanted to look at my history textbook, and you wanted to read it yourself to remind yourself of things. And I always said, and you wanted to hear about what books I was reading and what plays I was seeing, what concerts I was seeing. I'm wondering, what is it about those cultural things that, and those intellectual things that you like so much?
Well, I think that I was very fortunate. I say my father didn't have the education, but he had a great love for music and for art and for reading. He read beautifully. He couldn't spell, but he read a lot.
Mm-hmm.
And
but what do you get out of it? Why do you, how do you?
I had the opportunity and I loved it.
So
well, I said, why did I love it? I don't know. That's very hard.
Or why do you love it now, even?
I still love it.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's just part of who you are?
It really is.
I see. Okay. And so your father was a butcher. Did that mean that you would get the nice pieces of meat at the end of the day?
No.
No?
My father cut kosher meat every Thursday night. Now, they tell me here that you can't, if you're cutting trace during the week, it isn't strictly kosher. But we didn't know that. We did the best we could do. And he sold it to the whole area. And whatever was left, my mother's order were meat for 3 days or meat for 2 days. And whatever he had left, we had.
Mm-hmm. Did you used to go down to the shop and spend time there yourself?
Oh, I worked from the time I was 11 years old. I worked in the plant, the 14 store.
What did you do there?
Well, what I do there, I started out cleaning the onion boxes, the barrels, and cleaned out the shelves that had candies and so forth. Sweet potatoes and other potatoes, I cleaned them out and get rid of the bad. It was a terrible job, but it was a way to start, and I was useful. And then when I got to have a little more skills, I worked in the office, and it was a credit business. Incidentally, my father said, why don't we start and have one that's cash? And they said, no, that'll never work. So much for Giant Eagle. They really ridiculed him. I remember that. But I worked in the office, and Grandpa did a lot of writing of letters, and I took the letters. Again, my training in shorthand typing I could do, so that I did that. And
how many stores were there?
15 at the height of it.
And that was all in Beaver County mostly?
Yeah.
And it was called High-Low?
High-Low Food Stores. And the Victory Wholesale was the name of, and what was a real estate company? They had a real estate company also.
Now, the interesting thing is there was, during the Depression, they had food, and when people were hungry, and during the war they had food, and the family was doing okay when everyone else was in the country, or many people in the country were really suffering.
That's right.
Do you remember that period well?
Oh, yes, I do. We did have food. I don't think we had fancy foods, but we had food, and we had a continual parade of people coming to the back door asking for food. And I remember seeing them. They were clean cut, clean clothes, very neat. And they would come in the house, and the sink had the edge of it was about like this. And we sat at the table, and they sat near the sink, but they had the same food that we had. There was always enough for somebody else.
People were
hungry. They were hungry, and they were glad, and they must have passed the word around, because they kept coming,
Yeah.
which is fine. It was too bad that it all blew up,
You mean the company?
the company.
Do you remember that well?
You know, they died off. The people died off. They got too old.
Mm-hmm.
They split up and
Yeah. Caused some friction, I imagine. Yeah. Among the family. So,
your Aunt Sarah, Uncle Davy had the store in Ambridge.
mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. That's where he worked, right?
Mm-hmm.
I never saw the store. But I know that he used to go to the shul there.
Mm-hmm.
I used to go with him when he was older. And they honored him and they appreciated him. He was in his early 90s and he would still go. Even drive as long as he was able to.
Yeah. Oh, I can remember in the band, speaking of being able to drive there, when they first opened the Ambridge Aliquippa Bridge,
Mm-hmm.
we started way up the very top of Aliquippa and marched down and marched across that bridge.
Oh, your marching band?
Oh, sure.
Ah, what year was that? I guess you were in high school.
I was in high school.
And you were born in
22.
1922. So this was the mid or late 30s, I guess.
I graduated when I was just barely 16.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, they didn't have a kindergarten, but I
Yeah.
wanted to go to school, so I was 5 years old and I went to school.
Uh-huh.
And those years they skipped you. I skipped short division, so I was struggling with long division. So my father sat down and explained it to me, and then I knew division.
Yeah.